Guests on Keel heard via the Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker hotline. Stephen Waguespack is the CEO and president of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Mr. Wags, welcome back to Keel. Thank you for taking time for us today.
Hey, good morning, guys. How's it going?
Okay, so the governor has already vetoed one insurance/tort reform bill. There's a second one in the works. Does this one have a better chance? What changes are there going to be, et cetera? Help us out.
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting development, actually. Look, on Friday afternoon late, the governor announced he had vetoed the bill that would reduce auto insurance rates and reduce frivolous lawsuits. Overwhelmingly bipartisan support in the Capitol, but he vetoed it nonetheless. And so the legislature, to their credit, quickly got off the mat and said, all right, we're coming back at it. And so the Speaker of the House, Clay Snyder, introduced a bill that came off the House floor 2 days ago with 78 votes. That is a huge number. That had 10 Democrats voting for it, 2 independents, broad support. This would do a lot of the good things that was in the previous bill. It's a slightly different, which we hope will be a little bit more amenable to the governor. And now it goes over to the Senate. And today it's in what's called the Senate Jude A Committee. And for those that keep track of this stuff, last year and the previous years, that was the committee where everything went to die when it comes to tort reform. And this year, it's chaired by Senator Barrow Peacock. It's got Senator Robert Mills up there. You got 2 of your favorite sons up there from Northwest Louisiana that are going to be in committee today. And we think, they're going to do a great job getting that bill out and moving on to the Senate floor. So if everything goes according to plan, by the end of the week, we should have a bill that's got huge bipartisan support going up to the governor's desk. It's slightly different. It'll be this time sponsored by the Speaker of the House, and we think co-authored by the Senate President. It just adds a different level of bipartisanship and leadership involvement that we think could be the deciding difference to convince the governor to just put his little name on the piece of paper and do the right thing and help lower these auto insurance rates in a way that everyone knows we need to do.
Stephen, if the governor vetoed the first bill, because I think his quote was that there was no guarantee that it would lower insurance rates. How is this one going to be any different? And sort of a part B to that question, has the governor given inclinations that if certain changes are made, he'll give his support?
Well, there's been dialogue between the administration and the legislative leadership on saying, and I think the legislative leadership, the House Speaker and the Senate President have done a really good job of going up to the administration and saying, listen, guys, this is not sustainable for you just to kind of sit upstairs, not get involved in the process, and then after we do all this hard work, just veto with a late Friday afternoon news dump. That's not right. And so they are slowly pulling the administration to the table in the dialogue on this. So we do sense a subtle change, and that subtle change is, quite frankly, the leadership has done a good job of telling them, don't put us in the position of have to go and push for an override or something. We'd rather work with you and get something done, but there's just too much bipartisan support for this in the Capitol. You can't just stay upstairs in your office and then veto something at the end without weighing in during the process. And we're starting to see some of that ice thaw on that.
Is there a possibility that, for whatever reason, this does not meet the governor's standards, if you will? Are there enough votes to override a veto on this sort of reformed legislation?
Well, I'm hoping so. I mean, there were 78 votes in the House. Again, 10 Democrats, 2 independents. It takes 70 to override a veto if it gets to that. And so, you could lose 8 of those votes, and still have enough for an override. So, look, override is something that's definitely on the table if things don't pan out, if the administration doesn't come to the table in good faith. But let's be clear, it would be much better for the state, for everyone, if he and his team would simply, negotiate in good faith. I don't think we're that far apart if he wants to get something done. Because the other side of this coin is, this isn't some typical political chess match. This is a real crisis we have in the auto insurance market. You've got unaffordability for families and small business. You've got ag, farmers, timber, people like that literally losing their commercial auto insurance. Some of the stories we're hearing are unbelievable, how sad and desperate people are getting. So just playing political games in the Capitol and going home for a full year, the only thing that's going to make happen is next year the crisis will be worse and the intensity for a solution will be that much higher.
Robert asked the question. I'm going to ask it again. I pay $167 a month for car insurance. If they pass a bill and it doesn't guarantee my rates are going lower, I'm not for it either, Stephen. It's got to guarantee that. How are they going to get there?
Well, it's going to lower rates. I can tell you that. Now, I will tell you that the trial lawyers in the Capitol will never agree with that notion that I just said, because they will say unless you can prove it in advance, it'll never work. I'm just telling you it's going to lower rates. We're hearing from actuaries at least 10%. The commissioner said it might even be as much as 25%. And when you look back over the years when we came in and reformed the workers' comp system and put tort reform there, on the back end, it ended up being almost up to 25% savings. After the hurricanes of Katrina and Rita and the property and casualty market was cratering, we, unlike Florida, went in, put some smart reforms in, didn't micromanage the market, and what happened is rates came down, competition came back. The same thing is going to happen in the auto insurance market.
But are they mandated to lower? Are they mandated to lower the rates?
In the language in the last bill was it had a 10% reduction unless they could prove that they were insolvent or couldn't get it done. And, look, I'll be telling you, Aaron, if we get past this in a year from now, the rates aren't down, I'll be grabbing a tiki torch right with you, going to the Capitol saying, this didn't work. I can tell you right now, but you have to trust me on this. If you don't pass this bill, not only will your rates not go down, your rates are going to go up. Competition is going to leave the market. The problem is going to get tremendously worse if we don't face the facts and pass some tort reform that this state has long needed for a long, long time.
Mr. Wags, one of the criticisms of the bill that the governor just vetoed was that Louisiana citizens were in effect signing away their rights in court. There were limits on claims, etc. A, did you see that as a valid criticism of the bill? And B, is this one different?
It's absolutely not a valid criticism of the last bill or this bill. Let's be clear what we're trying to do here. Everyone needs to understand this. In current law in Louisiana, the trial lawyers have put laws in place over the years that keep juries out of the courtroom, keep evidence out of the courtroom. So when you go in there, you can't bring the evidence you need to defend yourself, and you can't have a jury or peers to hear your case. That's how they run up the till. What these bills are doing make it easier for you to have a jury if you want it of your peers. Makes it easier for you to put all the evidence on the table to make sure that you can defend yourself and lower your claim. That's all these bills do. And so the fact that they would try to make the argument that this limits someone's ability when, in fact, it is finally for the first time giving people of this state the same right that people in 49 other states have. And there's a reason why everyone else has lower auto insurance than us. We're not the only people that text and drive. We're not the only people with bad roads. But we are the only state that makes it so hard to have a jury and so hard to put the evidence in a courtroom to defend yourself.
What does it mean when it says reduces jury trial threshold from $50,000 to $20,000? It sounds like I would be limited on how much I could win if I had a suit.
No. That's a great question, though. Right now, what it says, the law of the land is unless you get sued for $50,000, you don't have a right to a jury. So, Aaron, if you get a fender bender this morning and someone sues you for $49,999, you can't ask for a jury. You're stuck with the judge they put you in front of.
Gotcha.
In other states, when you get sued, most states, 36 states is zero. If you ever feel like you want a jury, you can ask for one. In Louisiana, they said at $50,000. So when you lower the threshold to $10,000, what the bill today has, then if you get sued at any point over $10,000, you can ask for a jury if you want it. So it's giving you more freedoms, not less.
I'm looking at the agenda today. It says reduce the jury trial threshold from $50,000 to $20,000. They may be amending that, I guess, huh?
Yeah, the Speaker's bill reduces it to $10,000. I'm not sure what you're looking at, but the Speaker's bill, HB 57, reduces it to $10,000, as does, I believe, HB 44
Gotcha.
for Ray Garofalo's bill.